everyone.
Hey, hey, hey.
How are you guys doing today?
Welcome to After Hours here at Linda's Electric Quilters. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, yes, yes. We are excited to be here.
We are excited. It's been a long day.
Yes, it really has.
I don't know about y'all. How do you feel? It's been a long day. A little bit of a long day.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we send our thoughts and prayers out to everybody that is in the path of Hurricane Laura. Hopefully everybody is okay and didn't get too much damage that is in the path, and it's still going. So, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. So that's the first thing I wanted to put out there.
Of course.
Yeah. So, what? It's your turn now.
No. Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get started, always make sure that you subscribe to our channel. So it's right down there, the bottom right-hand corner. After you click on that subscribe button, make sure you click on the little bell that shows up so you can get notified whenever we post new videos or whenever we're here live at After Hours.
Yay! So we're so excited for everybody that is on right now. Hopefully you can hear us okay. We're doing okay. So we are excited to talk about red snappers today, but before we talk about red snappers, what should we talk about?
We're kind of switching it up a little bit with our format of how we present things to you.
Yeah.
So getting out started, we're going to be talking about some announcements. We have a few announcements that moving forward. So next week, we're just going to go and get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
Next week, we are looking at the Figure 8 book. We're going back to our Pam Clark series where we're doing some freehand quilting.
Yes.
So we'll be looking at Figure 8, so that's next Thursday. And the following Thursday, so 2 weeks from now.
So September 10th.
September 10th, we have secured Hobbs, the batting company, their Director of Sales and Marketing for Retail and Craft Products. Her name is Stephanie.
Yeah.
And she will be joining us virtually from Waco, so she'll be in here with us doing the same thing, all virtual. And she'll be talking to y'all about all of the batting products that Hobbs offers.
Yeah, and she'll be live to answer your questions too.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Last week when we were doing our thread video, so we did have an awesome thread video last week and answered a lot of questions. So if you didn't get a chance to watch that, definitely go back and watch the thread video. Even if it's to get all the way to the end to get that free product giveaway. We still have some limited supply.
Yes,
but
limited quantity of those free sample products, so you'll definitely want some of that.
Yeah, it's super fun. Good way to try out a new thread. So, you know, definitely do that.
Yep. Since you're in the midst of talking, I just want to shout out to, I believe it was Marty that put it in the comments, no purple hair?
No, you know,
I was waiting for someone to ask this because she told me not to bring it up.
Yeah, so the thing is that purple washes out really, really fast. And it was kind of getting like a mauve, and then my gray started coming in with a blonde in the back, and it was just kind of looking funny. So I decided, how do I cover it all up? And I've never had dark hair, so I'm like, I'm going to get dark hair. Because I've always been a blonde.
Into the next morning.
I know.
Yes.
So it was awesome, and it was really cool because Summer, if you guys have met Summer, she did it for me. So we just kind of did it after work, and
just got a hair salon going on here after hours too. So come and join us.
Corey came in the next morning, and I was like, see, it's kind of like you. It kind of matches your hair color.
Yeah, okay, off the set. Goodbye.
All right, anyway, let's pass that.
All righty. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is the red snapper system. Many of you have been commenting in the comments of all of our videos as we've been doing things here at After Hours that you wanted a demo on how the red snappers worked.
Yep.
You've seen them in the video kind of on the leader every now and then, and you wanted to see how they worked or a little bit more instruction on them. So that's what we're here to give you tonight.
Exactly, but before we start, because you know me, I always like to do snack and a question. Grab your snack, your drink, get ready to sit back and relax, and while you're doing that, answer this question for us. How do you load your quilts?
Really good question.
Yeah, how do you load your quilts? Do you pin? Do you snap? Do you staple? Do you, there's so many different ways to do it.
Do you zip? I mean, there's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, so tell everybody, I'm curious to how people actually do all their loading all over the world, so it'll be fun. So do that, and in the meantime, we are going to set back. To the back, right?
What?
We're going to go to the back. So we can show.
I'm so confused.
Here.
Oh, we're having a honey, you picked the loudest snack for tonight. Having a honey nut cluster this evening. We're trying to be a little healthier.
We were so busy today, I had to grab the easiest thing I could find in the office.
Gotta be real quiet with it.
Yeah, that one is a kind of a loud one.
There you go.
Sticky. But anyway. So look, we have so many people watching. We are so excited. Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
You ready to, let's just get started.
I think so. All right, so let's head back to the machine and let's show you where the rods of the red snappers, because it's coming in a complete package. It comes in a 10-foot size for a 10-foot table, or a 12-foot or a 14-foot size. We have them available on our website, www.longarmsupplies.net. And those rods get screwed together with...
Joking on
Oh yeah, you chose the honey nut cluster.
Yeah.
That's why. You got this, buddy. You got this. You're gonna get through
Anyway.
it. They get screwed together and they slide through a little canvas sleeve on your leader. So we're gonna go to the back, show you where that slides in, and then we're gonna get to loading the quilt.
I have actually thought about something while I was choking. People always call us and ask us what size they need.
Yes.
Do I need the 10-foot or 12-foot or 14-foot? I measured my leaders. You know, this is the size I think I need. Always go by your table size, not by your leader size.
Yeah.
So when it says a 10-foot set, it's a 10-foot table. A 12-foot set is made for a 12-foot table.
Because if you have a 12-foot table, you do not have 12 feet worth of zippers.
Exactly.
Leaders.
Leaders.
You're not going to have. If you have 14-foot, 10-foot, your leaders are completely different from the actual size of your table.
Yeah, so that way you know how to pick out the size that you need.
Yeah.
And then know that they come in a full set to load all three leaders. And we're going to show you the full load today. We know a lot of people float their tops, and that's great, but we're going to show you the full load today so you know. Okay, now we can go back.
All right, so let's head back to the machine and take a look at the
rod, how it goes in first?
Rod ourselves. Yep. So I have a little bit of it sticking out right here. So on my leader, you can see that I have this little sleeve hole where this whole rod slides in. So once you put them all together, they slide right in, really nice and easy, just like that.
Yeah,
okay?
And you can just leave them in.
Yeah, you can leave them in the whole
out.
time, unless you decide you want to start pinning again. You want to take them out. So I want to show you what all comes in the package besides just the rod. So we have the rods put together. They're in the sleeve. But you'll also be receiving 6 long snapper pieces. You'll get 6 medium pieces and 6 small ones. And these will become your best friends, these little small ones. The smaller sizes, they are sold in additional sets, so if you want to get more of them, you'll see why they're more beneficial besides just having these first 6. They come in a 2-inch size, a 6-inch size, and a 12-inch size, so it's good to have those additional pieces, and you'll see why.
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with the fact that, I mean, depending on what size quilt you're putting on.
For sure, yeah. If you're putting on a king-size quilt, you'll want a couple more of these to help you do that a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to start by loading the quilt top first because we are doing the full piece, and I am going to grab my quilt top, and I will grab my little pieces.
And I think it's good to kind of note a little bit too that I know we've had some, you know, where it hurts people's hands and stuff like that. When you first get them out of the package, they are a little stiff, and over time you will bend them and make them a lot easier to put on, and Corey will show you how easy they can go on once they have their flexibility in them.
Honestly, when you first open the package, I would do this.
Yeah.
Stretch them out a little bit so it makes them a little easier for you to work them.
Okay.
All right, so first things first, I have my quilt top. I need to grab my leader right here, and I'm going to lay it up against this bar, and I will clamp both sides at the very end. Gives it a little bit of tension and helps hold it up on my bar, so I can use something to push against. Now, you don't want to push all your weight into pushing this down. You definitely want to be a little light on this bar because you don't want to bend it, but this gives you some leverage to work from. So I'm going to grab my quilt top and find the bottom of it. Now, I do want to find the centers of all of my quilts when I'm loading everything up. So I'm going to fold this in half, and I am just going to give this a nice little crease, just a self crease with my finger, just to give that a center to fold from. And I have all my leaders marked with their centers already. Lay my quilt top up on the frame, pretty side up. And I'm going to match that press that I put to the center. Now, I don't know if you can see this here on the screen, but most of your leaders, when they have this little canvas hole, they were flipped over and sewn together with a straight line. I'm going to match the bottom of my quilt top with that straight line. That's going to help me keep it nice and straight. So I'm going to lay that right up there, kind of spread my fingers, and I'm going to take one of my 2-inch clamps and press right down, just like that. Diana, wasn't that easy?
Yeah, it was super easy.
Super easy.
Yep.
So I'm going to work my way down, still keeping that nice and straight. Given, you know, a nice little gap. You don't need them right next to each other, but these are where these little 2-inch guys come in handy. And I will take this all the way to the end with my clamps, and I have my little ones in my pocket so they're nice and accessible. Place that there, and I'll work my way down the other side. Same thing, keeping it nice and straight along that seam line that I have on my canvas. All the way down till I get to the end. Now, once I've got these on here, I want to get these longer pieces. Now, I'm not keeping these forever right here. I want to have those longer pieces to clamp down. So for this size quilt, I'm just going to be using, let me grab them here, my medium sized ones, but you could also use a much longer one if you wanted, if you had a much bigger quilt. I'm just going to use my medium ones though. So what I'm going to do, starting from the center, because that's just like the way I like to work center out, is I will match this piece up to the 2-inch clamp I've already got, and I'll start pushing it down. And now, as Dianna talked about, you can use the bend of this to easily press this down. Once you get to your 2-inch clamp here that's in the way, just pop it off, set it on the quilt, and continue going. Having those 2-inch ones along the side will keep this nice and straight. That way you're not having to fudge with the quilt top while you're working your way through. I'll take my next middle one, medium sized one, excuse me, match it up, move my 2-inch one out of the way, hold that end a little bit, and go all the way down.
And that's what's nice about the little extra 6 inches is if you want, you could just have thrown that on there instead of a long piece, right?
Right, yeah, so having those extra pieces really helps you out.
Yeah.
And so same way this way, I'm gonna go a little faster.
Just line it up.
But just line it up and go. But the biggest thing is using those little 2-inch pieces and straightening it out basically will help you work this all the way through really fast. So that's going to go all the way until I get to my 2-inch one here at the end, pop it off, and just like that. Grab these back, put them back in my pocket. Okay, and then I can roll my quilt top on. Let me take the clamps off the both sides real quick, and I can roll my quilt top on. And I'm laying it out across the whole quilt frame, using that to keep it nice and flat. So when I'm rolling it on, I'm not having to worry. Roll it and kind of flip it there and just kind of let it dangle there, right there, so it's out of the way. Good so far?
Good so far.
Okay. So doing the same thing with my backing leader, I'm going to take the gear off that one. There we go. And I'm going to pull this up between my 2 bars. Each table's a little different, but you're still just going to load it the way you normally would. Put this all the way up through here. And I'm going to tighten this bar down until I get that clamp right there where I have some leverage. Grab my side clamp, clamp it on so it keeps it nice and straight. So I'll grab my backing now. Backing's much wider and much longer, but this is the one I wanted to use for this one. And you know me, I gotta be extra. So this is much wider, but this gives me a chance to use one of the longer clamps. So I'm gonna toss this over with the backing pretty side down. Oh yeah, much wider. That works. So same thing, finding your centers, and you'll press them with your finger. You don't need to actually take it to the ironing board, just do a finger press. Just so it gives you something to work from. And I can open that up right there so I don't lose it. And this goes, same thing, using my 2-inch clamps in my pocket, or if you have those larger 6-inch ones, you can do that as well. So I'll do that and work my way down one side. And this one I can do a little bit longer. Okay, now remember not to stretch your fabric, just to give it a nice even pull there. That way it's easy for us to work it. All the way to the end. Golly, this is so fast. Just like that. Same thing over here. A little bit of a distance, doesn't have to be super far. Here. And we'll do this one right here. 2-inch piece and snap it. Now with this being a much longer piece, I'm going to use one of my long clamps, and I will start here in the center because that's just what I like to do, but it's all personal preference, and start pushing this down. And remember, we use these 2-inch ones to keep it nice and straight, so we're not really having to worry too much with it shifting. I'm just pressing down, removing those 2-inch ones as I go, here to the end, and then it looks like I could use a medium one, a little bit of a stretch there, to finish it off. So I'll start it on, lift it, remove my 2-inch, and go from there. Okay. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Pretty simple. Biggest thing is I love using those 2-inch clamps. They really help me keep it nice and straight. Go through here. And if you want to kind of, if you need to nudge the fabric a little bit because you're losing some of it, you can just nudge it with one finger.
Well, I like the tip about lining it up on the leader like that. Because
Yeah.
then it just kind of, that's your visual. If you're not there, move the fabric up before you snap it down.
For sure. Let me grab a little bit of a smaller one. I'm going to use my extra pieces here. Sorry, that wasn't on the table all the way. Here we go. And hold that in place. Okay. Clamp it all the way. Then I can remove my clamps, make sure I grab my little side pieces that I tossed on. And I'm going to come to the back of the quilt real quick just to straighten things out. I want it nice and straight before I start rolling it. So I'm going to come to the back of the fabric here. Make that nice and straight, just like that. Perfect. And then I can begin the rolling. If you see, the fabric kind of get away from you, you can go fix that. But that helps you just like that. Now with this one, I don't want to leave my backing roller locked because you might need to pull some more fabric, so just watch that piece, okay? So now I get to come to the back of the table. And here, I'm going to lift up my backing and just kind of set it over here. And I'm going to take my bar, and you see it's kind of naturally falling with the red snappers, which is good. And I'm going to take my bar. Now remember, when the quilt is actually being fed up, it's actually laying, let me roll it that way so we can see it. It's actually laying like this on the frame, okay? So it's kind of the same way that I want to be loading it. So I'm going to pull this all the way over here. And I want to lay it the same way that I would be loading it. So I kind of flipped this over. We pulled it off like that, laying it this way. And I'm going to do that all the way down, just so it's nice and out of my way. Move my little extra red snappers if I need to. Just like that. And so same thing with our 2-inch pieces. Grab my quilt top, or my backing. And I'll lay that, match it up with the canvas, okay? All the way down, and I can start using my 2-inch clamps at that point to work it. So I'll lay it up, match it with that canvas, grab my 2-inch clamps out of my pocket, snap, work my way down, snap, work my way down. Might be out of your visual, and that's okay. It's just going down to the ends of it. Working my way down and using that 2-inch one just to give myself a good security piece here to line it up. So just taking these, working my way. Give yourself plenty of easement with it. You don't want to stretch the fabric at all. You just want to be able to put it on nice and naturally. So I've got those. Grab my long ones. And you'll see that I'm just using a little bit of pressure on my tabletop. If your tabletop's a little weaker, you can pick up the roller and just press down with both fingers. But I have a little bit of a stronger tabletop, so I'm allowed to push down on that and use a little bit of it. So still pushing all the way and removing those 2-inch ones as I go. And I can see that the fabric's shifting a little bit, so I can pick that up if I need to. And make sure I line it back up. Just like that. And since we're at the end of the backing, I'm just going to use these little 2-inch guys to finish this off instead of putting on a big one. Just like that. Come over here and do the same thing. And I'm telling you, once you get the hang of this, you'll be loading king size quilt in no time. I mean, it's what, 7:20 now, so we've been in announcements. We're 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, it hasn't taken any longer. Really,
I mean, and this
almost
is
a queen size backing.
yeah, the queen size backing. Basically, I decided to be a little extra with it, and I'm just gonna put that one there instead of putting an extra piece. Okay, and then I'm gonna be able to roll it up. So let me lock this real quick. Sorry. Roll it enough where this is floating up, and then I can check and see if there's anything extra that I missed. Hopefully nothing was sticking out and I'm good. So I can go back to the front and make it all nice and tight. So I'll head back over and I will tighten this up, set off your extra clamps to the side if you need to. Tighten this up just like that. So if you happen to see maybe a little bit of a hill or a little bit of a valley in that, because I can see one right there, that's okay. But if it's a really big one, you might want to check to make sure that you're not, you don't have too much fabric in one point. Or what I like to do is just roll these rollers back and forth. Sometimes when you're rolling it on, it doesn't get it on there nice and straight when you're first starting it. So I can roll it all the way up.
Especially with wide back.
Especially with wide backs, yeah.
Just roll it back and forth.
Roll it back and forth a little bit.
And this works for pinning, any method really.
Mm-hmm, yeah, especially, I mean, even when you're pinning, this will do it. Pin base thing, it's always good to roll it. I roll it back and forth every time regardless. It just helps. So I'm gonna roll it all the way. And then doing that most of the time will take, look at that.
Yeah,
Hills
there
and
you
valleys gone. Just like that.
Cool.
So far so good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get to grab my batting now. And I am using a Hobbs Black 80/20. And I can center this up. Try to find the centers of everything, just because I'm OCD like that sometimes.
Well, it's important to find the centers of it too. So.
Yeah, so I'll match up my centers. And I'll just lay this right up here, lay my batting. And what I will do at this point is I can do a little bit of a check here. Get that there, that's nice. That's good. Okay. Just like that. And before I put this batting through these bars, I want to go ahead and baste it down. That's why so I can have it nice and straight, excuse me. So I will grab my machine head. And you'll go to the basting feature on your machine. Each machine's a little bit different. So let's go ahead and go to your basting feature. And I'm basting on the batting, one, to give myself a nice straight line to follow when I'm putting on the quilt top. And I'm just doing a little bit of a wide base with my horizontal channel lock on, just to keep it nice and straight. So I will go all the way through this, keeping my batting nice and straight, free of puckers, free of creases. And I will work all the way through that. Work all the way till I get to the end. Tie off that basting. A few tie off stitches. Pull it out. Nothing too major. You don't really have to do any tie and bury or anything like that with a batting base. You're good there. Okay. I can grab my batting and just push that through my bars. Like I said, each table's a little different. This is how I'm doing it on my Gamble. Each machine's a little different though. I'll push that through the bars. And I would straighten that back out. And I can grab my quilt top, lower that, and line up.
I'm going to come back over here.
You're good.
Lots of movement, but I wanted them to be able to see everything tonight.
Of course.
Okay.
And I will line up the quilt top with that basting line to keep it nice and straight. Won't pull anything. I will leave all these ruffles here, that's fine. I just want this piece nice and straight up against that straight line. And that's going to let me stitch it straight. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's really important. That's how you can kind of keep that square. If your leaders maybe aren't as square, if you get that straight horizontal line and put your quilt top up to there, that usually solves it every time.
For sure. And even though I am following a horizontal line, I'm still going to use my channel lock And this one will be a little bit of a tighter baste when I'm putting on my quilt top. And I will just do that all the way through. And I've got my fingers put into a V fashion on both sides of the hopping foot. It helps me keep the fabric nice and flat and keeps it from bouncing. So I'll do that all the way through. Until I get here to the end. And I will stop my machine. At that point, I can put my quilt into loading position and I can tighten everything up, which is what I'm about to do. So let me do this real quick. Put that into loading. Always tighten your backing first. If you are pinning your quilt top, always tighten that backing first. Get all the wrinkles out of this, batting wrinkles, all that kind of stuff, all out of this. Tighten up my quilt top, just like that. And now I can baste down the sides. So I will change my channel lock to a vertical channel lock. And I can baste down the sides. And for this panel, I'm using my hopping foot to follow down the side of the digital print to keep it nice and square. Because sometimes
and if you
panels
don't have
can
a
be
channel
iffy.
lock, the idea is just to try to go as straight as possible.
For sure, yeah. Got that one. Cut this off. Ding. And I'll come over here.
Basting stitch.
And
just a really easy 1/4 inch.
do the same thing. Based on this, keeping it nice and straight. If you need to, kind of move the quilt top a little bit to keep it straight, feel free to do that. It'll all get quilted in. Especially with the digital print, sometimes you gotta get a little creative with it. Cut my threads.
And just like that, you have your quilt loaded with the red snapper system.
Boom. And that was in 15 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, 15 minutes probably.
Yeah. All loaded, all ready to go. And then whenever you're done, same idea. I'm not going to do it, but you just take this and pull it off and the quilt's off and ready for the next piece.
Yeah, so much faster than pins.
Oh yeah, so much faster. And I think understanding and I don't know if this is something that's already been out there, it's just something that hit me when I was doing it, was using these little 2-inch ones and following the stitching on the canvas.
Yeah.
And that gave me something to keep it straight up against too. And that really helped. And all my quilts have always been flawless ever since then.
Cool. Well, let's go up to the front and answer some questions.
For sure. And you've been doing a lot of camera work today.
I know. I didn't get to answer the questions.
You haven't been looking at the iPad.
No.
The people feel neglected.
Wasn't neglecting you guys. I just wanted to make sure everybody got to see really good. So.
All right. So while she's scrolling through questions, just to double check everything, we're looking at the 2-inch ones. That's the extra set. They have an extra 6-inch set and a 12-inch set.
Yeah, so we had a good questions. Can I use red snappers if I have zipper leaders? As long as you have this set that has the hole in there, like he was showing you at the beginning, you just have to have the spacing in your canvas to push the rod in. So as long as you have that, which most of them do, then you can just
slide that right in. We have zippers on this table.
Yeah, in fact, there's zipper leaders on that table. You're right.
Yeah, without a problem. Good question. Yes, we do have two quilting heads on one table. One is a hand-guided machine and one's a computerized machine. Helps one for demos in store, but it's also what we use for after hours.
Yeah,
so we have a light bar.
Just keeps us from having to move it each time.
Yeah. So yeah, we leave 2 on on the frame.
Let's see.
What else you got?
Just, they're all just helping each other out, talking about some of the things they do.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah, so if you guys have any other questions on the red snapper system or tips for other brand machines or tables, definitely put them in the comments. I know that helps everyone and helps us.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
It's a super easy system to use once you have some of those little fine-tuned details to add to it.
Yeah.
And so thank you all so much for requesting the video. So it gave us something to put out for you.
Yeah. So anytime you have suggestions or ideas, you can always throw them in the comments. We always like to.
We always look at the comments. We do. Trust me. We look through all of them.
We might not answer each one of them at the time, but we are looking at your comments. Yes. We're so glad that you guys are watching us and being involved with us and spending your Thursday with us. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
Do we have anything else? Anything else pop in?
They just had a question about the side snappers, and I think those are being remade at this point. And once we have those available to test, then we can go from there.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah.
Alrighty.
Go team.
Yay!
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, all of you, so much for joining us. Don't forget, next week we're looking at the Figure 8 book. And then the following week after that, September 10th, we have Hobbs joining us virtually to talk about all of their battings and answer your questions regarding batting.
Exactly. Live with Hobbs. And so if you have those questions about batting, start jotting them down and be ready. Mark your calendars. You won't want to miss this one.
Yeah, Stephanie's really good at what she does, and she's ready for your questions.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.